what does a connect with the therapist mean? Now, all of us as therapists have seen that a lot of clients come to us after having gone to other therapists for consultation. Now, sometimes they do not find a very good connect with those therapists. So, even though those therapists have been well educated, they have an ethically sound and experienced background, yet somewhere something is missing. Now, is it about you as a client, or is it about the therapist not being a good therapist? No, nothing like that. It's the process that is very, very important. So let's go a little bit into what exactly could be happening. Now, it is very natural that just like any two human beings, sometimes we gel with somebody very quickly, we connect with somebody very quickly. But besides that, there are definitely some ways in which, some reasons due to which we connect with our therapists. The first thing is, if your therapist is able to listen to you very seriously, very intently. So, if the therapist is going to understand you, then the therapist has to listen to you. If the therapist is dismissive in any way, or is perceived by you as being dismissive in any way, that is the first reason that you might find a disconnect. Now, sometimes most therapists, of course, will be very careful to not do this and be careful to naturally, intently listen to their client. So, I wouldn't say that a therapist is doing this purposefully. So, sometimes it could be your perception, sometimes the therapist themselves don't have an insight into what is happening. So, both these processes could happen. So, the first thing is listening. The second thing is, within this itself, not dismissing anything that the client says, however small it may seem to the therapist or to the client. The third thing is being absolutely non-judgmental. Being non-judgmental is in the rubric of psychotherapy itself. It is woven into psychotherapy. So there is nothing different or special about being non-judgmental to have a connect. But despite that, being non-judgmental is an absolute given where connection with the client is concerned. Because your values as a therapist and the client's values, even if they don't match, still, because you are a therapist, you are supposed to be neutral, you are supposed to be objective and listen to the client from their perspective. So, if you find with your therapist you are unable to find a connect because the therapist might seem judgmental, then that could be a very important reason. Another reason could be that sometimes I have heard or read in the process of therapy that some therapists tend to become a little irritated or angry with the client. Now, this is definitely not done. There could be reasons, there could be very valid reasons sometimes, and the therapist may feel some anger about the client or about the client's behavior, but the way it is portrayed or the way it is conveyed to the client has to be extremely appropriate. Not just that, but the therapist should then go and approach for supervision to deal with these feelings of anger. Okay, so there are a lot of, the process of therapy is extremely dynamic. So there is a lot of things that are going on in the process of therapy. Therefore, as a client, I would say that besides all these things, if ever you feel that I want to change my therapist, I am not comfortable, do talk to your therapist before that. It will make a lot of difference if you discuss what you're feeling with the therapist. Very often the therapist does not even know what you're feeling if you haven't really clearly told them. Okay, as a therapist, as a psychologist, nobody can read your mind. That's a myth, that's a misconception. So you need to tell the therapist what you feel. Okay, an experienced therapist can gauge more or less, but is still never sure until you tell the therapist. So please tell your therapist, discuss with them what you feel is not really okay and not helping you to make the connect. If it still doesn't work out, then you can switch your therapist.